Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I've got a BG55 Sthl blower here. Now the issue with this machine is that it will run good when it's cold, but as soon as it warms up, it starts to bog down. So what I want to do here today is start it up. You're going to see that it runs good. I'm going to let it run so that it warms up. Then I'll show you the symptoms, and then I'll show you the repair on this specific problem today. And I'm going to give it some primer here. By the way, the screws are set at about 1.5 turns each. The machine is warm now. I will start it. You will see what it's doing. So as you saw there, when I first started it, it ran really good. It revved up quite well. But as soon as it started to warm up, you could hear it bog down. Now I have replaced the carburetor kit in this machine, and I did turn out the screws to over 2 turns out each, and it made no difference. So actually what I suspect the problem is on this blower is that the crank seal on this side is leaking, and the reason for that is because I often see some oil underneath after it's ran. And even after it's been sitting on my countertops for a while after running, you can see a trace of 2-cycle oil. So it's the oil that builds up in the crankcase. It leaks out the seal. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. I will remove the recoil here and the flywheel, and we'll have a look. To remove this today, I'm using my impact with a T27 Torx bit. And actually there's a 4th screw up here. And I'm just going to use a 13mm socket with my impact here. Now I will remove the nut with the impact, but I will not reinstall it with the impact. To remove the flywheel, I've got this Sthl puller here. And there's the part number if you want to get this puller. You just simply screw it onto the crankshaft. Once I'm at the flywheel, I just back off a bit. And always make sure you wear safety glasses when you remove flywheels. And now just give it a good tap. And fortunately, the flywheel came loose on the first shot. And now if we have a good look, you can see that oil I was talking about. There it is. It's actually leaking from that seal. And if you have a leak over here, your carburetor will not run properly because you will have an air leak. The carburetors depend on impulses from the crankcase to make it work properly. If you've got a leak, it will not make the carb work properly. It's not going to get the proper pressure. It's not too often that I replace seals on these little blowers. But in this case here, I'm going to try to just replace it from the exterior without removing the whole block from the engine. It's not too often that I have to replace crank seals on these small blowers, but this one here definitely needs to be replaced. Now I did get an OEM seal from my local Sthl dealer. It's part 96390031230. I'm just going to give you a few tips here before I remove the seal. When you remove a seal, you want to be extra cautious that you don't scratch the crankshaft. And especially where the seal goes on, because you could be causing further damage. There could be leaks there as well after, even if you've put on the new seal. So whatever you're going to use, just keep it away from the crankshaft here. And also as much as you can from the outer part as well. What I'll be using for this today is a drywall screw, so it's nothing fancy. And I'm going to screw that screw right in the seal away from the crankshaft. If you can't start it by hand, just use a hammer and tap it in a bit. Now if you see you're getting really close to the crankshaft like I'm here, just back off. That's why I'm going extremely slow today. Now I'm going to use a stronger pick. At least I've got a hole there to start. And I'm going to get right into there. The seal is partly off. And again, keep your pick away from the crankshaft. And there we go. And here's the old seal. And of course it's damaged from what I did. And you can see some Durco here from the factory. I'll try to remove that stuff. Now I'm going to use a small flat screwdriver and a rag and just try to wipe that stuff off. And now I'm going to air blow it with my compressed air. Make sure to wear safety glasses. And I'll just clean a bit around here. Now I'm just going to spray a bit of lube right on the shaft. Now on this type of seal I like to put some aviation gasket maker around it, just to make sure there's a good seal around the outer edge of the seal as well. Now I'll just slide it onto the shaft, and I've got a deep 5/8 socket. It fits perfectly on the outer edge of the seal. And now start tapping it in, but tap it in evenly. And here's a quick look at the seal installed. The gasket maker did come out a bit. I'm just going to spread it out here, just on the outer edge. And I'll just let it dry for a bit, maybe half an hour. And after that I'll start it up. In the meantime, I'm going to reinstall the flywheel, and you'll notice the key is built into the flywheel. All you want to do is line it up with the keyway in the shaft. You'll know it's in because it'll be locked into the shaft. Now reinstall the 13mm nut. Now I'm going to tighten this up with a ratchet and a socket. I don't have the torque specs, just use common sense. Put it on fairly tight. We're not working on the space shuttle here. And I'm able to hold the flywheel and tighten it up enough. Now you can reinstall the recoil. Now I've got 4 screws here. The one with the coarse threads goes up top here. And I'll just simply reinstall the last 3 screws. And that's it. So now everything's done, the recoil's installed, and I do have the screw set at 1.5 turns. I'm going to take it outside, warm it up, and hopefully it's good from now on. Now what I'm going to do is let it run here for a while, and we'll see when she's hot how she runs. So I'm glad that fixed the problem. Usually it's carb issues and stuff like that, but as I mentioned earlier, I did replace the carb kit in this carburetor, and at one point I even tried another carburetor and the same thing was going on. Now, actually, the proper way to diagnose a leak would be to do a leak down test. Now, it does take a bit of time to do that, and sometimes I don't want to waste too much time on these little blowers because they don't cost that much and you can spend more time than it's worth. The reason I realized that it was the crank seal is because the oil was leaking underneath the machine after it ran. Now, some of the symptoms you may experience if you have a leaking crank seal will be like at the beginning of the video. The machine runs good when it's cold, but as soon as it warms up, it doesn't run properly anymore. Now, another symptom of a leaking crank seal or an air leak will be that you will be constantly adjusting the carburetor. You'll turn out the screws, it'll run properly for that day, but when you go to use it next time, it won't. You're going to have poor acceleration, and it may bog down as well when you're running it. Now, my advice, if you have major problems with these blowers, most of the time it's not worth taking to a shop, especially if they charge around $90 to $100 an hour. These units are only about $179 to $199 here in Canada, so it doesn't take long to pay that in labor. And even if you do get it fixed, you will have an older machine at the end of the day when you pick it up. So my advice, if you have major problems with your blower like this, just buy a new one. You can, however, take it to a shop that will only charge you so much to look at it, like $30-40. In that case, if the technician tells you it's not worth doing, then you haven't lost a whole bunch of money. Also remember, guys, that you can get the same symptoms caused by a different variety of problems. Today was the crank seal, but most of the time it's going to be a carburetor issue. So thanks again for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. I put out a new video every week. And also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And have yourselves a great day.